The loneliest people are often the most needed. Some people become valuable to everyone because they secretly believe they are replaceable. So they learn to help, to listen, to carry, to stay strong. They become the reliable one, the calm one, the emotionally available one, the person everyone calls during a crisis. And from the outside, it looks admirable. But underneath that role, there is often exhaustion. Because being needed is not the same thing as being loved. And some people spend their entire lives confusing the two. The child who learned to earn love. Most people don't consciously decide to become emotionally over-responsible. It starts much earlier than that. Sometimes in childhood, sometimes in environments where emotional safety felt inconsistent, where love felt connected to performance, to behavior, to usefulness. Maybe they learned, if I stay easy, people stay close. If I help enough, I matter. If I become what others need, I won't be abandoned. And children adapt quickly, especially emotionally intelligent children. They become hyper-aware, sensitive to tension, sensitive to mood changes, sensitive to emotional withdrawal. So they learn to manage everyone else emotionally while quietly disconnecting from themselves. And eventually, that adaptation becomes identity. Not, I help people sometimes, but my value comes from being needed. Why these people often feel invisible. Ironically, the people who give the most emotionally often feel the least emotionally seen, because everyone experiences them as support. But very few stop to ask, who supports you? And over time, these people become emotionally exhausted in silence. Not because nobody cares about them, but because they train the world to see them as the strong one, the capable one, the stable one. And strong people rarely receive softness. People assume they don't need it. But underneath that strength, there is often a quiet grief. The grief of constantly being emotionally useful, while rarely feeling emotionally held. The dangerous addiction to being needed. Being needed can become addictive because it creates purpose, control, identity. If someone depends on you, you feel secure, important, safe from abandonment. So some people unconsciously build relationships where they are constantly rescuing, fixing, giving, overextending. Not because they're weak, but because being needed temporarily fills emotional emptiness. The problem is, relationships built on emotional rescue rarely create mutual intimacy. Eventually, the dynamic becomes uneven. One person carries, the other receives. And slowly, the helper begins feeling unseen, unappreciated, even resentful. But instead of stepping back, they usually try harder, because overfunctioning became their survival strategy long ago. Why? They struggle to receive love. This is the part almost nobody talks about. People who constantly give often struggle deeply to receive. Receiving feels uncomfortable. Vulnerability feels unfamiliar. Need feels dangerous. So when someone genuinely tries to care for them, they minimize their needs, deflect attention, stay emotionally guarded, or quickly return to caretaking. Because giving feels safer than receiving. Giving maintains control. Receiving requires exposure. And for people who built their identity around being emotionally strong, being emotionally seen can feel terrifying, even when they desperately crave it. The moment the mask stops working. Eventually, many emotionally over-responsible people hit a breaking point. Not dramatic, not explosive, just exhaustion. A quiet realization, no one really knows me, because being needed kept them surrounded by people, but distant from intimacy. And that realization hurts, because they spent years believing, if I love hard enough, if I give enough, if I become enough for everyone else, then eventually someone would finally choose them fully. But relationships built on self-abandonment eventually create loneliness, not connection. And the hardest part? Many people don't realize they've abandoned themselves until they completely burn out emotionally. What real healing looks like. Healing begins when a person stops asking, "How can I become more valuable to others?" and starts asking, "Why do I believe I need to earn love through usefulness?" That question changes everything. Because real intimacy is not built through emotional performance. It's built through authenticity, through honesty, through allowing yourself to exist without constantly proving your worth. And for many people, that feels deeply unfamiliar. It means saying no sometimes, resting without guilt, expressing needs directly, allowing other people to show up emotionally, not constantly carrying the entire relationship dynamic alone. Because healthy love does not require emotional exhaustion to sustain itself. The loneliest people are often the most needed. Not because they have nothing to offer, but because they built their identity around offering everything. And eventually, that becomes isolating. Because people can admire your strength without ever truly knowing you. So the real question becomes, who are you? When you stop trying to earn your place in people's lives? And can you believe you are worthy of love, even when you are no longer performing for it?